All right, I am here with, is it Anja? Am I saying that
It's
right?
it's Anya, yes.
Anja. Okay, Anja from our Gabled Home. And I've been looking forward to this interview for a while now. I'm going to start off by asking Anja just to talk to us a little bit about her background. And I know she was born in Germany and came to the United States later.
Hmm.
And I'd like to hear a little bit about how the channel got started and what your focus is.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm so happy to be here. This is really exciting. As you said, my name is Anya. I was born and raised in Germany, and I came to the US 28 years ago. And one day I was just sitting at home. I was doing something, professionally doing something different. And I found this, she was actually a blogger. And I read her blog, and I'm thinking, she's doing all the things that I'm doing, and she's making money with it. And then naively, I thought, oh, if she can do it, I can do it. Now, I'd like to say about this blogger, who shall remain unnamed, and you two were too, that she's a lot more interesting than I am.
Well, I don't know about that.
She's got 8 kids. I only have two.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so that makes her a lot more interesting already. And she did start a YouTube channel. And so I followed her. And as I said, I thought if she can do it, I can do it. Now, that was a little bit naivete, but sometimes you just got to jump right in. And if you start thinking too much about stuff, you don't ever get started.
That's true.
And I don't know, on like a early January day, you can probably go back on my channel and watch my very first, very worst awkward video that I
I
probably
did that.
uploaded. Yeah, I know, right? Your first videos will be your worst videos. And so it is. And, I'm standing there and I'm super awkward. But I started that in January 2019 and haven't missed a beat since then. I've been uploading one video a week. And I mostly talk about, as we already said, I mostly talk about the things that I already do. There's a lot of sourdough. I grew up with sourdough. I like to tell people I never officially learned it because I just basically, I mean, my mom has always been baking bread and it's in my family, my grandmother and great grandmother. And so it goes back generations. And there was always sourdough bread baking, even when that wasn't really trendy. And I always like to cook. I love to make things, especially being from Germany. I realized that there's a lot of foods that I took for granted when I was in Germany, and then I can't get them
Mhm.
here. Let's say pretzels. They are either really expensive or they're sweet, and Germans don't add sugar. I mean, just a tiny bit maybe to get the yeast going. But then I figured out, I'm like, okay, so at some point people were baking pretzels at home. So it shouldn't be that difficult. And that's how, and now I cultivate it. I obviously show things on my YouTube channel and my blog that I still have that people have asked for and are like, oh, can you show us how to make this and that? And so I will, but I'm mostly having fun and I turn the camera on and then later I edit it and put it out there for the world.
Okay, so I did go back and look at some of your early videos, and the earliest ones that you did weren't really concentrating on cooking. So when did you decide to make that change? I mean, I know you still do other things besides that as well,
Right.
but that seems to be a major thing with the sourdough especially. So
Mhm.
how did that sort of morph for you?
Yeah, I think well, there's when you start a YouTube channel, you have an idea of what you want to talk about or what you want to show people, right? And then sometimes you got to look at your analytics and you find that some stuff does better than some other stuff. And it's almost like you have a store, and if you carry all these products and some products sell really well, then of course you're going to sell more of those products versus the products that kind of sit on the shelves.
Sure.
And I kind of wanted to be in the homemaking space, but that's just so broad. And I don't know if it's just me, but then what really was a tipping point was one day I was sitting there and I did not, I mean, oftentimes I have a content calendar. I actually have one here on my wall for the next, oh, is it like 2 months or so? No specific dates, but some stuff is seasonal, but I do have a content calendar. And that day, maybe 4 years ago, I did not have anything planned, but I needed to
Mm.
record and put out a video. So I thought, okay, what am I going to do? I just basically turned on the camera and I started talking into the camera about my sourdough method, which is very unique and different. And that video didn't do a whole lot in the beginning. I think I recorded that in July. And I remember in November of that year, all of a sudden it was insane. I could look at my analytics and the numbers were just like, you know, going crazy. And it's still my most popular video. It's got over 1 million views. And that kind of started okay, so people are interested in sourdough. And then people started asking me so many questions. When you look at the video, I mean, there's, I don't know, thousands of comments. And then, so first I did more sourdough content, but then I also realized that there were some questions that people kept on asking all the time. So I would make a video specifically to answer those questions. And eventually I added a sourdough course because I only have so many hours in my day. And while I would love to be able to answer every single comment, because for the most part, I get nice comments. I have the occasional hater in there, but for the most part, I'm really fortunate. I mean, people take a time out of the day to not just watch my videos, but also take the time to write a nice comment. And I want to honor that. But like I said, I only have 24 hours in a day, and I've already hired a virtual assistant to help me with the comments. But so I thought, okay, so sort of like common themes, let's answer that in a course where people can go in and then they get all the questions answered in one place. And so, yeah, so that
Okay.
that led me to explore the sourdough content more. And then I also realized that my German recipe videos do really well because I have a lot of people who have either they were born in Germany and came to the United States as young children, people who have German parents or grandparents. Oh, my Oma or, my aunt always made this recipe, or they were in the military and have lived there for some time, or,
Mm.
they have distant relatives and have visited or whatever, right? So they do have some connection and they absolutely love my German content. So it's a mix of German recipes and a little bit of German lifestyle. It's what's different of, but shopping in a German supermarket, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah, when we first sort of made contact and I was looking at your channel, I think one of the first videos that kind of caught my eye was something about being at a German market.
Hmm.
I think you were there maybe over Christmas or something.
Hmm.
And at that point, I thought, well, she must live in Germany. So, it wasn't until later that I realized she lived in California, a little different.
Yeah. Well, I go there. I go there a lot.
Well, I used to live in Scotland and in England for a little while. I was a Christian Servicemen Center director as a sort of a civilian pastor for the military. And we would have our annual meetings somewhere in Germany. I could not tell you,
That's okay.
uh, you know, I've been to a couple of places over there. Just driving there, the countryside was just, it just blew me away driving through. I guess I was driving through the Rhine Valley, maybe where
Oh yeah.
all the grapes are
That's
being grown and all that.
oh my gosh, yeah.
Just phenomenal.
Hmm.
So I'm hoping to get back to Germany at some point, but I seem to concentrate all of my overseas trips to Rome and Scotland. I don't know why.
Maybe you need to put a Germany trip on your calendar and just make it happen.
Well, if I do, I will get in touch with you to see
Yes,
where I
please
need to go.
do. Please
Um,
do. Yes.
so yeah, my channel is kind of like that. I started off, my channel was supposed to be about me being retired. That's really
Hmm.
what it was going to be about. And at one point, very early on, I started June 3rd of 2023. So it's been a year and a half now. And about a month in, I made a video sitting on my bed about how I was decluttering my bedroom and was going to get rid of my bedroom furniture and, was just kind of talking through getting rid of 30 years of things. And that video just went nuts. And it now has over 1 million views. And
Nice. Nice.
still it's like my top or second most watched video every
Hmm.
month. Anytime I go back and talk about minimalism or decluttering, I I get a lot of views, and
Hmm.
it's really tempting to sort of stay there. you know.
Right. Yeah.
But I like a whole wide range of things, and it sounds like that's what you're doing as well, is that you're not letting that success maybe define you as such, because you still have a lot of other things you want to do.
Yeah, and so here's the thing. As a online content creator, I can, for example, look at the metrics and the analytics and decide this stuff does really well. And especially if you're a blogger, SEO, search engine optimization is a big thing.
Mhm.
And only make content that I think will do really well. Now, I also, so I'm actually a little bit different. I want to have fun because I am pretty convinced that people who watch me notice whether I'm authentic, whether I'm actually enjoying being on camera, whether I'm enjoying showing them what I'm doing. And if I'm not, then it just becomes a dreadful job. And I don't think it's worth the money. So I want to be able to show up with enthusiasm and passion and joy. And that may be that, sometimes I do videos that don't do a whole lot. I mean, I have a dedicated following and they love almost anything that I do.
Yeah, right.
Bless them. And, um, if they watch this video, you know who you are. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's not just a job. For me, it is something that I want to share and create this community. That's really more important to me. Obviously, we all have builds and there goes a lot into creating videos and having equipment. So there is investment and there is cost on my end. But ultimately, I think I'm a little bit more focused on the having fun with it side rather than this is just a job and I'm trying to maximize revenue.
Right, right. Well, I mean, everything that you just said is exactly what I've been talking about of my own channel. Um, and because it really is, and I do have a few comments here and there of people who are not really happy with me. But for the most part, all of my comments are just super nice. I do have a very committed core group of people.
Nice.
They'll
Yeah.
be they'll be watching this as well. Um, and they will go watch your videos because I've asked them to. They will comment, and I
Aw.
have a lot of people that comment on the comments, and
Yeah, I know.
this whole conversation, and it really is a community,
Yes.
and I feel that.
Yeah.
And so even because you have how many subscribers do you have now?
122,000 or something like that.
Okay, all right. I was going to say it wrong, so I'm glad I asked
That's
because I
okay.
thought it
It
was more
changes
than
all the
that.
time.
And so I can only imagine. I mean, the comments are like a water faucet, you know. And so you said that you had hired somebody
Hmm.
to sort of take care of the comments for you. Can you talk to me about how you found this person um and what that's going to look like for you?
Yeah. So at some point, especially with the blog, and then, I'm active on Pinterest. I am somewhat active on Instagram. I do have a Facebook page and I do have a weekly newsletter. So just being a one woman show, I mean, I'm wearing a lot of hats. Oh, yeah. And then,
Yes.
of course, I'm the videographer and the photographer and the writer. And at some point, you just cannot do it all.
Right.
And I'm always talking to people when other bloggers, for example, when they say, "Oh, I have a VA or I have this or I have that." I'm always interested because I feel like it's always good to have names in your back pocket that when you need them, and especially recommendations. I don't want to go to places like Fiverr or what is it called, Upwork, and hire somebody that I don't know. Ideally, I would love to find somebody who comes recommended, who has worked with people and who does a good job. Having said that, there was a blogger that and she had a podcast and she interviewed me on her podcast. And then when we were done, she said, "Oh, yeah. And if you ever need a VA, I have somebody who's really good." And at the time, I did have a VA who I thought was my unicorn VA. She did not know anything about VAing. So I trained her on the job and I said to her, I want you to grow with me. And, you get sort of like revenue share. So the more money I make, the more money I was going to pay her. And I even have these dreams like maybe even someday you can hire people who work under you. So you manage a small team of, your VAs all working for me. And she was really excited and we clicked so well. She didn't really know so much, but we had this real personal connection. And it was just like, yeah. So then one day she told me that her husband wanted her to do something different. I think he was a little bit more, I'm trying to not sound judgmental, but almost like he couldn't really see where this online business was taking her.
Gotcha.
And he
Yeah.
wanted her to have a real brick and mortar store, not store, but job, like a real job with a real salary and everything. So she left me. And then I sat there and I didn't have a VA. So I went to this lady and I said, I think I'm ready for your name. So this VA is in the Philippines and she speaks amazing English. She is a hard worker. I can throw stuff at her. Sometimes I'm participating in these collaborations, mostly for blogging. And then I get an instruction sheet this long. On that day, we're doing this and we're launching. And then I have an Instagram graphic and you need to post it by that time. And then, like all these, and I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, whoa, I'm already overwhelmed. I can throw that at her and she's like, no problem. And a day later, she's got it all figured out and she's posting according to that schedule. And yeah, so she is amazing. And, she is, I'm not shy to say that she is really affordable because the cost of living in the Philippines is really low.
Sure.
And it depends on where you live, but I have heard that $400 is a living wage. It's a
Mhm.
full-time income. Depends on where you live, but she set her rates. I didn't, negotiate with her. I asked her what her rate was. She set her rate, and yeah, she's still working for me. She's been working for me for a year and a half, probably now.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Now you said, and I'm interested in how um, YouTube content creators work.
Right.
And so you said you're doing all of your own video work and editing.
hmm
So
hmm
what equipment are you using? Are you lighting your kitchen? Are you filming with a camera, with a Pocket 3? With what is your what's sort of the normal? I will say I watched a video that you did just recently on the changes that are coming to your channel this
hmm
year, where you
hmm
had two cameras.
hmm
Uh, and so are you always filming with two cameras? Because I'm not sure that I've paid attention to that.
No, I don't always do that. It's a little bit if I think it's necessary for the content, because there's also switching up angles sometimes keeps the viewer a little bit more interested than if you have just one long shot in one single frame. It's really that's where I am probably different from a lot of people. For me, it's not just a job. For me, it's like how I feel that day. And if I feel like setting up a second camera, then I will. And if I
Okay.
don't, then I don't. So that's really the short answer to that. So there's no rhyme or reason. And
Okay.
most of the time, and my tech son, I have two sons, but one's really techie. He's the one that works for Elgato. He set me up with a Sony Z something camera. And
Okay.
what I love about this camera is it's small, it lives in my kitchen, and it's a set it and forget it camera. I only use it for video. There was a time I have a DSLR for photos and I was using it for video too. And just like clicking back and forth and in and out of the photography and video settings, and then it didn't work. And then I had, if I make a recipe and it didn't record right or it stopped recording after a while, which it did, I couldn't figure out why. And I get super frustrated. And that stuff is just not good for me. I need something that I plug in and it works. And this camera works. So that's my main camera. And that one actually has a really good quality, especially given that it's so small. And then if I feel like it for B-roll, so second camera, I just use my iPhone because
Okay.
the iPhones these days, this is a 15 Pro, their quality is so amazing. I need to somehow still make sure that the the contrast isn't so obvious that, it's a different because the video quality is a little bit different from the iPhone to the
Right.
Sony. But that's how I do it. And then I have, again, my son set me up with it's not really a tripod, because tripods, if you're filming in a kitchen, I mean, if you're just doing talking head like this and you have a camera on, that's one thing. But if you're in a kitchen and you're running around and you go to your oven and then you got to grab some utensils, and you have a tripod with these three legs and some cables, you're bound to trip over stuff. And that for me is like a no-go. So what I have is, it's called an Elgato, what is it called? A master mount with a multi-mount. And it's really cool. It has a base
Okay.
that is smaller than an umbrella base, but it has concrete in it. It's really heavy. And out of it
Okay.
comes an extension pole that you can extend from really short to really long. And on top of that, I have another attachment, if you will, that has joints. So what's really cool about that is that I can have the stand, let's say, on my kitchen counter, but then I can have it go like this, and then film what I'm doing from up above. So it goes around corners, and it's super fun. And I actually have two of those because I have another one with an iPhone clamp, so I can use
Okay.
my main camera on one stand and then my iPhone for the B-roll on another one. Sometimes I do voiceover, and then I tell people in my house, it's almost like the kitchen is like right there. I need a little studio light, like I'm recording. Because when somebody comes in the house, I'm like, hey, I'm recording. Oh, I just need to okay, then I need to edit that out of my video. But I'm not that professional. But so sometimes I do voiceover, and then I don't care about the audio quality because it's all going to be muted, and I'll be talking over the video once I edit it.
Okay.
If and when I do, when I talk into the camera, I have a Rode shotgun mic because I tried the lavalier mics. And again, then there's cables, and I have one that's what is Bluetooth or something, but then I need to charge things, and I need to make sure that they're all charged. And it's just this tech stuff, just it's so much overhead for me, and it's not worth it. So I use my
Yeah.
shotgun Rode mic, and then lighting. So we are blessed in our kitchen. We have light coming from three sides. We have a huge
Mm.
row of windows on one side and a huge row of windows on the other side. And then we have a French door on the third side and the doors on the fourth side. So we have a lot of really good light. I do have some Elgato lighting. Or what's really cool is I can control it with a phone app, and I can
Okay.
control not only the brightness but also the temperature, and I can dial that right in. And so that's what I use if and when I need light, more
Okay.
lighting than I have natural lighting. But I try to really record most of the stuff during daylight hours. Now in the winter, that's a little bit more challenging because your
Sure.
hours are shorter. And a real life issue is if I'm making something for dinner and I want to eat it afterwards, because I don't like food waste. And then I need to cook it earlier and then either heat it up again, and then sometimes I take photos and my husband comes in and he's like, oh, that looks good. I'll have some of it. I'm like, no, 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 no. I haven't taken a photo yet. So you can't, that's got to sit here until tomorrow when the lighting is better. So this is like a little behind the scenes of what it's like to be with a content creator.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was already jealous of your kitchen. Now I'm really jealous of your kitchen. Because I live with my mom and I live in a basement apartment. So my kitchen has no windows whatsoever.
Oh,
So anything I do over there it's got to be lit. And I'm getting quotes now to change out the cabinets because the layout's not working. I do a few cooking videos
yeah.
myself. I am I'm a hack. Okay. Um, but I do like to cook, but
Yeah.
I don't have any I don't have any real skill.
You know what? I mean,
So
I don't think that you need skills. There are content creators, YouTubers who are super polished. They're experts in their field. They're professional cooks or what have you, right? And that's all great. But then sometimes people also love authentic. Hey, he's having the same struggles that I'm having, and he's a real
Right.
guy. He's just showing us how he is dealing with his challenges and struggles, and he makes it accessible. And that's I mean what I get, because I'm not a professional chef. I'm a professional amateur, and I have stuff happen. So I have flour flying all over the place, and then I sometimes I edit it out. Sometimes I'm going like, oops, oh, I guess this is a real working kitchen, and stuff happens. Sometimes I edit it out, and I have a bloopers video that I'm saving up for when I don't have a video, and I'll put all my bloopers in there, and then people can have a laugh at my bloopers. I mean, stuff happens,
Yeah,
right? And
I've had a
and
lot of people ask me for mine too, and I'm like, I don't know. And I do have, I actually have three YouTube channels, but um, I've
oh
sort
wow,
of
that's a
stopped
lot to
posting to
manage.
one. Yeah, well, I've stopped posting to one for a little while because it was just too much. But
Yeah.
I started a channel a year ago called Life in Motion Diaries.
Mhm.
And on that channel, everything is shot. I had an iPhone 15 Pro Max at the time. I now have a 16 Pro Max, and everything is shot on the iPhone.
Right.
And it was really an opportunity for me to kind of learn how to make video other than just standing a camera up and talking to it, you know?
Right.
And so that's been a lot of fun. And because I have with my Canon EOS R, it just takes so much stuff. I mean, you can't record without a light, and you can't record without a microphone. And with the phone, you can just hold it, you
I
know?
know. I know. It's so convenient. It's so easy. It's plug and play.
Yeah.
Also, another thing
So,
that I do is I have a dummy battery, and
okay.
that's a I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but basically instead of having to recharge your batteries all the time, or you're recording and all of a sudden you run out of battery and you don't know when that happened, and then you need to backtrack, and when you're baking. So I have basically, it looks like a battery, but it has a cable and it plugs into the wall. So it's continuously charging, and I don't have to charge a battery because it's basically the camera is plugged into the wall. And so it,
Right.
it runs, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, when we were talking back and forth by email, you mentioned that you were speaking at a conference. Does that come about because of your book, or did it come about because of your YouTube channel
Did I say I was
or your
speaking at a
blog or your
conference?
blog?
I go places and I talk about stuff. I mean, obviously I can talk, right? I always have something to say.
Well, you were
Um,
telling me you were going to be at some kind of conference. Maybe it was a creator conference.
Oh,
I don't.
yeah. Well, last week I was at the Tastemaker conference, which is
Okay.
essentially a conference for food bloggers. Now, you can go there if you're not a food blogger, but it's really geared towards food bloggers in terms of the lectures and the whole setup. So I've done that for the third year in a row. And for me, that's great to make connections and to learn and to upgrade. And a lot of the companies that I work with, for example, my hosting company is there, Big Scoots. I don't know if, I mean, you probably know that if you're a blogger. So they're there. And sometimes for me, I don't really have anything other than to go there and say, hey, I just wanted to introduce myself. And when I have a support ticket and I see a name and then I meet these people, and they're like, no, I have a face to the name. That's nice. And then I can go there with my tech problems, because there's a lot of companies that are in the tech space, and then I can ask them
Sure.
question. And so yeah, so that was the Tastemaker Food Blogger Conference.
And how long you have a book out on sourdough, if I'm not mistaken. How there you go. How long has that been out?
That came out in November,
Okay.
and
And
that
it's
really
available on
happened.
Amazon.
It's on Amazon. Uh-huh.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
really easy to find. I mean, all you need to do is type in Anja Eckert, Anjaeckert, or Sourdough Simplified.
Okay.
And that's exactly what it is. So it's really my method. And I wrote the book for two reasons. People would
Okay.
ask me over time, hey, do you have a book? Because I do have some off-grid audience, and they just can't have an iPad in their kitchen while they're baking. So they were asking me if I had a book, and I said, not yet, but I'm thinking about it, but it's a lot of work. But then I figured out a system how to actually make this work. But I also think that it really complements and rounds out my offerings, if you will, because I have the blog, I have the YouTube channel, I have my online sourdough course, and now I have this book. And so there's a variety, whatever people want and need. And it was kind of fun. I mean, yeah, there were moments when it was stressful with deadlines and this and that and the other. But in hindsight, it was fun. And honestly, unless you have a New York Times bestseller, I'm not really making a lot of money on this book.
Right.
I mean, I still get royalties, but because I needed a premium print quality, and so the printing cost for this book is really high, and I wanted to price it as low as I can to make it affordable for people. So my margin is really small, but that's not really why I did that in first place.
Yeah, I am going to order one
Oh, let me know what you
because,
think.
well, I will because I've never done sourdough before and I'm intrigued. And
Mhm.
so maybe maybe I'll learn a new trick.
Yeah, there's a lot of sourdough books out there, and there's a lot of really high quality books. Leo Maurizio, for example, with the perfect loaf. I mean, it's a desktop, I mean, not desktop, coffee table edition, sort of like a really thick hardcover, covers everything, beautiful photography, really well done production. That's not really my crowd. My crowd is the people who are either they have tried sourdough and found it too complicated, or they hated having another pet in on their counter that they had to care for every day, or they got so overwhelmed with all the detailed instructions and timelines and measurements and whatnot that they didn't even get started, or they started and they're like, oh my gosh, this is too complicated, and gave up. And what I'm offering is a kind of rule of thumb. I call myself the queen of eyeballing method, where you don't ever measure anything. You don't have a timeline. You basically just go by feel, by consistency. And I teach you exactly in the book or in the videos, I teach you exactly what to look for. And then 5 days later, 10 days later in the winter, you have a sourdough starter. And I do provide resources for what happens if you have mold, or what if you can't get your starter off and it's not really doing anything. So that's typical. And I have a lot of taglines in there. One is never give up, and the other one is your first sourdough starter is always the most challenging to make, because you have a little microbiome, if you will, in your kitchen. And you have wild yeast swirling around. If you've never made a sourdough starter, or if you've never baked with sourdough, you don't have those beneficial bacteria swirling, those wild yeast swirling around in your kitchen. Once you do, they're there, your resident little guys.
Okay.
And that's why the first one is always the most challenging. And I mean, obviously, I can talk about sourdough all day.
Interesting.
It's all in the book and it's on my YouTube channel, so people can you can find stuff. Let me know if you need help. I'd love to. I mean, I love to help. I love to help. And I love it when people are successful. It's like, yay, it really warms my heart when people are telling me, I gave up on sourdough and then I found your method. And ever since then, and I'm also saying, am I baking bread to for it to be Instagram perfect with the big holes and the this and the that and the crumb and the crust? Or am I baking bread because I want to eat good food and I want to feed my family? And I'm in the second camp. As long
Okay.
as the bread tastes good and your family loves it, I don't care what it looks like. And to be honest, as a German, we eat bread with bread, right? And then we spread a lot of butter on bread. If you have these big holes, there's nowhere for the butter to go. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Germans don't have the big holes.
Well, my family's not from Germany, but we're from the South. And in the South, if you don't have bread, you don't have a meal. So,
Right, right. Yeah, there you
but
go.
that's usually a biscuit. It's not usually sourdough.
You can make sourdough biscuits though.
Okay, I think you just sold me. I haven't watched it yet, but I did see a video that you had posted where you made sourdough English muffins.
Yes.
And my mom loves sourdough English muffins. And that's really why I thought, well, maybe I'll get the book. Maybe I can do something and make something that she might enjoy. And You know,
I gotta see
as
if
long as
I
I
got
don't, as
the,
long as I don't kill her.
I think I have the sourdough muffins. I don't have all the recipes in here. Yeah, but I actually do
Okay.
have the sourdough English muffins in here.
Excellent. Okay.
They're in
Okay.
the book. All right, you're
Okay.
covered.
So you did a video just recently about sort of what's coming up on your channel. So just sort of fill us in so that we can get a little understanding of what we'll be watching when we go over there and become new subscribers.
Yeah, basically, I will continue with the sourdough stuff, sourdough recipes. I was just recipe testing earlier before this interview in my kitchen, and the taste is amazing, but the texture and the presentation, and I'm being really secretive here, needs to be tweaked. Let me put it this way.
Okay.
And so sourdough is great content because I know my audience loves it, and the German recipes as well. But I also want to bring some homemaking. I'm really having so much fun making things myself. I love to cook with cast iron, and my husband built a wall rack, custom wall rack for a kitchen where all the cast iron skillets and uh, pans hang. But a lot of people have them stacked. And so one idea I have is to show people either to knit or to sew. I haven't decided yet, to make one of those inserts, if you will, where the pots can sit and they don't scratch on each other. And it's going to be
Okay.
really simple because I love the simple stuff. There's a lot of complicated stuff out there in the world, and I love all the uncomplicated stuff. Everything I like is uncomplicated. And so there will be some of that. And yeah, and then the occasional homemaking video, people love that too. How to create a home in your home. Because I feel like there is such a pull, and it's so easy to get all anxious and to be on the go, go, go all the time. And I think it's a real antidote to slow down and to enjoy the simple things. I mean, minimalism and decluttering falls into that realm. Do I really need all of this, or can I get by with less? Because less is also less to worry about. And that is always, yeah, I mean, it's a lifetime project, basically.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. Now I think you said you live in a 1920s farmhouse.
1910.
1910. Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so what challenges did you buy the house already done, or did you remodel it when you moved in?
We remodeled with my husband is really good. It's not what he originally got his degree in, but he is extremely handy. For example, he did our entire kitchen. And not just,
Okay.
oh yeah, we put some new cabinets in there. The kitchen is an addition to the 1910 house. The kitchen used to be in another room.
Okay.
And the kitchen that we found when we bought it was from the maybe 40s or 50s. It was super ratty and it really needed to come out. And so it sits on its own slab, concrete slab. And because we had a 150-year-old oak tree next to it, the roots were pushing up the concrete
Mhm.
slab. And my husband always said, it feels like you're on a ship, it's like, like it's going downhill or something. So not only did he prop up the kitchen, the walls, so that the kitchen didn't need to be resting on the concrete pad, he so he took out the old pad, he poured a new pad, and somehow, and I mean, I was there. I mean, I was watching it all the time, but I don't know how he did it. He did it with a garage too. He put the kitchen back on the concrete slab, and I mean, you would never know. And then, in an old house, you don't have necessarily exactly 90-degree angles, or one end is higher than the other. And even if you try, I mean, so that's just old house stuff. And I love it. I love it. I feel like um she's an old lady and she has wrinkles. So she's well lived, right? And yeah, and then we have other projects in here. We have bathrooms that need updating really badly. We have one that's pink tiles. And candy pink tiles, and then we have another with baby blue tiles. We're probably going to leave that alone for now, but the downstairs bathroom, that's actually, there's a door back there that goes right off the dining room, which is really interesting. I think it used to be a butler's pantry because I think the original kitchen was behind that
Mhm. Okay.
butler's pantry, but I don't know where the original bathroom was. I tried to find some history about this house and I was only semi-successful.
Well, like I said, I've been watching, going back and watching some of your videos to familiarize myself with sort of you and what you're doing, and I've just been thoroughly impressed
Oh, thank
with
you.
what I've seen. The quality of what you're putting out is fantastic.
Thank
Um,
you.
and you do come across as very authentic, and that's one of the things that people have said about me
Hmm.
is
Yeah.
and the reason they're coming back is because
Yeah.
that's I didn't realize, I guess, how important that was when I started, but
Hmm.
I'm realizing more and more those are really the only channels I want to watch. So,
Well, what it is like um more so than when you're authentic. People notice when you're not authentic. And it just
true.
doesn't feel right.
Yeah,
It feels artificial, it feels, I don't know, effortful. It doesn't make them feel at ease. And when you're yourself, then people can relax and they're like, oh, she's just how she is, right? And I mean, what you see is what you get. If you meet me in real life, that's how I am. Of course, I do have a bit of a public persona, and my YouTube life is somewhat curated. That's not
sure.
all of me or us, but I am like I am. I mean, this is how I talk to my friends, and people find that um, comforting. They find it relaxing, and I I also know that I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I have some videos where I'm a little more wordy than maybe necessary, but that's just how I am. And I have stopped trying to be somebody that I'm not. If you don't like my somewhat wordy style, I'm sure there's other channels out there that are super concise and get the message across in half the time. So I'm not trying to be everybody's best friend, and I'm not trying to appeal to
Sure.
everybody. And I have my niche, the people who follow me and who love my content and, enjoy my style, they're my tribe. And I'm not trying to be somebody that I'm not.
Well, that's really all we can do. And yeah, it's now you're posting once a week
Yes.
on Thursdays.
Yes.
Okay. And what time of day does your video go up? Or
So
or is it
I
different?
used to, yeah, I used to post at 6 a.m. So okay, so we had a bit of a change. I used to
Okay.
post on Tuesdays. But here's a little bit behind the scenes. So what happens, even though I try to be ahead of time and I try to not leave things to the last minute, reality was that oftentimes I was recording on Saturdays and Sundays, editing on Mondays, and posting, or I mean, I can schedule the posting, but so I have the video out on Tuesday morning. So, but that what happened was as long as I can set my own schedule, that's all good. But then friends of ours would come, hey, do you guys want to do something Saturday afternoon? I'm like, "Ah, shoot, I gotta, I have all the recipe ingredients and I really can't. And so my best friend, she's like, why don't you just change your posting day? And I'm like, not that easy. So, but then I thought about it and I thought, you know what? Because also I get into a groove and a rhythm. And right now I feel a little unsettled because
Mm.
I used to know what days I need to do what. And right now that's changed. But I felt like January 1st or, the new year was the perfect time if I want to make a change to make that change. And now I'm posting on Thursday. So now I don't have to do anything on the weekends if I don't need to. I can still record Monday, Tuesday, and then edit Wednesday. Little honest thing here. I still need to do a voiceover for tomorrow's video, so that's how late I am. And then what YouTube does is, as you know, YouTube's algorithm tells you when your viewers are online. And there's this whole debate over, do you need to post? Does it matter if you post when your viewers are online, or does it not matter? Now, last week, because I was traveling, the Wi-Fi in my hotel was so bad
Mm.
I started the upload at, I want to say maybe 7 p.m. And I got up the next morning really early and it wasn't even at 50%. And then I ran, took an Uber to Starbucks, thinking that the Wi-Fi would be faster over there. It wasn't. And
Oh
to the
man.
point where I thought maybe I need to restart the upload. And then I restarted the upload. And then I was texting with my techie son and I'm like, hey, blah, and I was super stressed out. I mean, like 10 months from now, even 10 days from now, it doesn't matter, right? But in the moment, I was super stressed out. Like, I need to get this video out. And then my iPhone hotspot wasn't any faster either. So I took an Uber back to my hotel and tried this. And then we were changing locations. I was at a retreat. And the first thing I went in, I was like, hi, everybody. Okay, so what's a Wi-Fi password? I couldn't even say hello because I was so wrapped up in getting this video posted. And then I was talking to a fellow blogger and she said to me, you know what, your video is going to be like your #1 video. Like, oh, I hope I can mark your words. It's been doing really well. It posted later that afternoon. So typically I post at 6 in the morning and I think it posted in the afternoon and it's been doing really well. So I don't know. I mean, I'll still stick to Thursdays and I'll look into the metrics, the analytics, and see if it makes sense to post a little later in the day or if I just stick to my 6 a.m. posting time, my regular
Yeah.
post. I don't know what was your experience? Have you played with that?
Well, I post twice a week. I'm thinking about going to once a week, but I post on Tuesdays at 8 in the morning and I post on Thursdays at 2 in the afternoon.
Same channel though, because you said you had three
Same
channels.
channel. Yeah,
Okay,
same
okay.
channel. On this channel, the New Retired Me channel. And I'll be honest, I don't really notice any difference
Yeah, that's what they say.
between it. It really comes down to what's the content,
Hmm.
um, because people are going to find it. And I've looked at those analytics of when my crowd is online. One of those two times, I don't remember which one it is, but one of those two times sort of fits with that.
Hmm.
But the other one doesn't, and I really don't notice much difference
Yeah,
between the two. So,
yeah.
um, we're all at the behest of the algorithm gods, whatever they choose to do with it. So,
Although I have heard that you can substitute the word algorithm for people because the algorithm basically follows the viewers and
true.
it's not something in the cloud that decides I'm going to promote this channel, I'm not going to promote because ultimately YouTube is in the business of making money. And
Yes.
the better our videos do, the more money YouTube makes. I mean, right? Let's
Right.
be honest here.
Right. Oh
Let's be
yeah.
real.
Yeah.
So it's for them, it's a win-win if they surface our videos to the right people and we get the views and the clicks, then YouTube makes more money. So
Sure.
that's why I'm not and this idea that some creators are like, oh, they hate small channels. I think there actually was something recently where YouTube is promoting smaller channels now,
Yes.
which I think is great to level out the playing field a little bit. But I don't think that the algorithm is an algorithm. It's math,
Right.
AI. It
Yeah.
doesn't
What
hold grudges. Yeah.
the thing that I keep coming back to, as far as that goes, is the notifications that I get when videos are doing really well
Hmm.
is that more of your regular viewers
Hmm.
are
Yeah.
watching this video.
Right.
And occasionally it will tell me more of your regular viewers are watching and they're watching longer.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest driver for the algorithm to say
Right.
if these people are watching it and they're enjoying it, there are a billion other people out there that fit their demographic who might like to see it.
Right. Right. Right.
And then if you've got a video that your regular viewers are not really interested in and they're not watching it, the algorithm is not going to do a whole lot for you. So
Well, I have it kind of
that's
like
really
the
the
other
main
way.
thing that I watch at this point is
Yeah, I have it maybe even the other way around where my regular viewers love it. They send me really nice comments. They love it. I want more of that content, but it doesn't do well for a wider audience. So
Right.
there's that, right? And at this point, again, I'm not doing this just because I want to make money and increase my revenue. I'm doing it because I'm enjoying it. And if I have a video that's really mostly for my community, my tribe, my viewers, then so be it. And then it doesn't do so well. And but that's it. And then I have another one that just, does really well, goes viral for me, VFM, right? Viral for me. And I'll take that too. So I think at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, I could be posting 2 videos a week and I would probably get more views, more clicks, and more money. But I don't want to get stressed out and I want to have a
Right.
life. I want to have that balance in my life. I don't want to just talk about slowing down. I actually want to have time to slow down and not just work. Because it's one thing if I show something nice and relaxing in my YouTube videos, but then I'm hustling once I'm done
Right.
recording, that wouldn't be authentic either. So I need some of my downtime too and where I recharge, but then I can show up again and I'm just there.
Right. Yeah, and this is a big reason why I'm my original plan for my channel. I was posting 2 videos a week when I started to build up videos
Mhm.
on the channel.
Yeah, and to get some
And
momentum, right? Yeah.
yeah, and my plan was to go to 1 video a week once I had
Mhm.
some videos up. And then, like within 30 days, I went from 40 subscribers to 25,000 subscribers.
Wow,
And I was like, oh, okay, well, I
that's
guess I better just
amazing.
keep posting two videos a week.
Yeah. Don't break your
Um,
streak.
yeah. So, and now I have an idea for another channel. Um,
Oh, I
I,
have
I
more
love,
ideas than I have a lifetime for.
yeah. Well, the Life in Motion Diaries channel, I was posting there every day for a year. That was my challenge to myself. Now the videos were like 4 or 5 minutes. It wasn't rocket science. And after the year was up, December 31st, that first day that I chose to miss, I felt really guilty. But I don't
It's
feel so
weird,
guilty
right? It's like something is missing. The day isn't complete. Yeah.
Um, but because I have been concentrating on those 2 channels so much, my third channel is a photography channel, and I just didn't have the time to go shoot photography. And it just lost its appeal to me, and I want to get that back. So
Mhm.
I've got to make some adjustments here and there, but I do have an idea for a
Yeah.
channel called We'll Travel for Coffee. And all I do is just make silent videos at coffee shops everywhere I travel.
I'll be
Uh,
watching it. Now I want to find out what you learned.
so anyway,
Travel
Anya,
for
I'm gonna
coffee. That's
I'm
it.
gonna
That
let
sounds
you
like a
go
great
because you're
idea.
not done with your video yet. But
No,
so,
that's okay. No, I mean, I'll be able to do it and it won't take long.
okay.
Because I'm not
Well,
doing the I'm not doing the
I
super high production value, the super polish, right? Remember? And
well,
also I
I do
learned,
really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today, and
yeah.
more than that, I appreciate your patience, because the people that are watching don't know the technical difficulties we were experiencing for a while, that
It's
you couldn't
real.
hear me, and
It's real.
that was
Yeah.
going to be a problem. So,
Yeah, no, I know it's difficult to have a conversation when you can't hear the other side.
but again, it's just been wonderful to meet you, and I
Yeah, thank you
appreciate you
so much.
so much taking the time,
Yeah.
and I hope you get another 20 or 30,000
Well,
subscribers after
that's not
after
necessarily
yeah.
why I'm here. I enjoyed the conversation too. And no, it's just really fun. And then we'll see what happens. But I absolutely enjoyed my time and thank you so much for having me on your channel. No, I
Well,
thank
I
you.
really appreciate it because this may be something I try to do more of, is
Hmm.
just to reach out to other content creators and just have a
Yeah,
conversation,
yeah,
because it really is fun for me. So
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
I'm going to hit to end this recording, and don't go
Yes.
away. We'll kind of
Yeah.
we'll talk a little bit, but
Wrap up.
um, my goal is that this will go up next week. So I'll send you an email when I know what
Yes.
day it's
Send
going to
me a link
post.
because I'd like to broadcast it to my tribe and say, hey, this is a little behind the scenes.
Okay. Be
A
happy
little
to
bit
do
of
it.
different, because I don't really, I think I have one video which is like a total one-off where I talk about my whole setup. But
Okay.
my viewers are not necessarily interested in that because they're they want to see the cooking videos and they want to see those
Right.
videos.
Sure.
They're not
Yeah.
really interested in my tech setup. Yeah. So,
No,
but
I'm
hey.
probably the only one interested. So
And that video is a few years old, so I have also changed and upgraded since then, so it's not super current, but I
okay.
tried, and sometimes we do stuff for affiliate links.
Yeah. Well, that's true. I've been there, done that too.
Well, you need money for the mission, right? I mean,
Yeah, yes, very much so.
yeah, and I don't
Um,
feel bad about affiliate links because I also know that people don't pay more. It's that the company pays me to peddle their
right,
stuff. And I
right.
only do affiliates with products or companies that I stand behind, that I actually use myself. I would never promote anything that I don't actually use or would use. So um, I know I'm cutting into my revenue there, into my affiliate revenue, because I'm not peddling any old product, any
Yeah.
doormats.
Well,
Yeah.
well, that's a conversation for another day. But
Yeah.
let me turn the recording off here, and we'll
Yeah.
we'll keep talking for just a minute.
Okay.